Okay, Father Gregory Pine, this is
Hello.
a long-awaited conversation here on the Katie McGrady Show. I've told multiple people we're having this conversation. I've set the bar pretty high. I even included it in my weekly letter to my sister, the nun. I will be talking to Father Pine about this movie. You guys should watch it at the convent, too. We're here to talk about a film that kind of took the world by storm in July. I largely ignored it, mostly because I think a lot of Christian moms were like, Demon Hunters? No, we're not watching that. K-pop? Isn't that like BTS? We're not doing that. But it has been the consistently most requested. Please watch this movie and tell us what you think about it. And I wanted to talk to a Dominican about it. We're here to talk about K-pop Demon Hunters, which I begged you to watch. And you did less than 24 hours ago. So it is more fresh in your mind. I went and saw it in theaters. I went and saw a Netflix movie in a movie theater on Saturday. Because I wanted to see it on the big screen with my kids. My poor mother was like, is this the same movie on Netflix that we've already watched? It is. It's the same movie. I paid for us to go see the same movie. That's how much I liked it.
That's awesome.
What did you like about K-pop Demon Hunters? And then we'll maybe get a little into it.
I thought it was super charming. I thought the storytelling was also delightful. There were some parts of the story I was like, wait, what does that have to do with whatever? Never mind. Doesn't matter. Keep going. Not
Kids
the
movie,
point.
Kids movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And it actually had some Frozen vibes.
Ooh.
In the sense that, there like was an enemy, but like it's not clear that you needed that enemy because like the real problem were the kind of fears, insecurities, lies, whatever untruths that keep us back from being ourselves. And I would add in a Christian setting, loving the Lord. So I think it's helpful, for teaching purposes to have a clear enemy and then like a clear good guy who defeats the enemy by good ways or by good reasons. But I also think that, life can be ambiguous. And sometimes it's not like a clear us versus them situation. And I feel like this movie was just a great story that just checked all the boxes, scratched all the itches, did the thing that it was supposed to do.
I need to know the context in which you viewed it. Was it with other Dominicans?
So it was with one other Dominican who laughed. It was with one other Dominican who left halfway through. So like, okay.
Well, we're not talking to him.
No, yeah, exactly. So you had asked me to watch it, and I was like looking at my week. Not that I'm like the busiest human being in the world. There are New York City lawyers who probably work 18 times as much as I do. So don't confuse me for a whiny, busy person. But I usually don't plan for movies in my little work week / life week. I'll do other things like hang out in the backyard and chat with Father Bonaventure, etc. So I was like, when am I going to watch this? And so we have this nice little unit of time at the end of the week. So Sundays, usually you get up from Sunday dinner at like 7:15 and then Compline is at 9. I was like, that's perfect. And then I mentioned this to some of the folks that I work with at the Thomistic Institute. And they were like, watch party? And I was like, no, we're definitely not doing a watch party.
That would have been so fun.
Undoubtedly, it would have been fun, but I'm going to watch this in the privacy of my own home. Not for embarrassment, but just for ease.
Just in case, yeah.
But then said coworker said, well, Father Brian Krosek has also been talking about the possibility of watching this movie too, so you should coordinate with him. So I pitched it to him. He's like, sure. So he showed up, and then like 25 minutes later, he's like, I'm out.
It wasn't for him.
No, it wasn't for him. So like 7:50, I'm just alone there in the room, tearing up, just getting real emotional.
Yeah.
And like, the men are like bopping in to the TV room because it's just like, it's
you
just
live in
along
community.
the beaten path. And I was like, just watching an animated movie, about a girl band.
About a female pop band in Korea.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like somebody bopped in to try to watch the Seattle Seahawks beat the Washington Commanders. I was like, no.
I've got the TV. I've claimed
Not today.
At least it wasn't Game 7 in extra innings. Like you had prevented people from watching that, which I fell asleep to and woke up to. The Dodgers won. Great. I refused to watch it on a plane. Can I tell you that? Like I had it downloaded on my iPad.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm not watching an animated movie in full view of a plane.
Right.
I had a seat kind of closer to the back, like on the way to the bathroom, and I knew people would see it pretty frequently if they like walked back. And so I watched it in the privacy of a hotel room. And
Nice.
I did the thing that I never do when I watch movies. I'm a classic millennial. I second screen a lot of things. So like movies on in the background. I've got my phone. I've got my computer. I didn't second screen this. I was locked in.
Dedicated.
Like ordered room service so I could didn't leave the room. So I could just focus on K-pop Demon Hunters because I love that word, charming. I mean, it wasn't that difficult to convince myself to order room service. Like, I was hungry and I needed food, but it was charming. Let's kind of go through the premise of if somebody were to call you up, your dad calls you up and says,
Yeah.
Gregory, what'd you do today? And you said, I
Yeah.
watched K-pop Demon Hunters. And he goes, what's that?
Say more, young man.
Yeah, aren't you a grown man in a dress? Like, tell me more about this animated film. If you had to give the elevator pitch to somebody about K-pop Demon Hunters, what is that overview?
Yeah. What is that overview? Basically, there are demons. For Christians hearing the word demons, it's not demons like we conceive of them.
Mhm.
It's like people who are trapped in evil or addictive habits, who just fall prey to those things and now are at the behest of the kind of evil one whose name is Guima. And they're always prowling around seeking the ruin of souls. For whatever
Yeah.
reason, they feed on souls,
Yeah.
which, I think that we can fit that into our Christian worldview. Not that the point of a movie is to fit it into your Christian worldview. Nevertheless, so these demons feed on souls. And so the way that whatever complementary good force, who is not as visible in this movie, but the complementary good force appoints that there is at all times throughout the history of the world a girl band who, by their musical exploits, fights back the advance of this tide of demons by a protective kind of seal on the underworld and by direct confrontation of the demons when they show themselves in the light of day. And so the band around whom this particular film is styled, Huntrix, are the current incarnation of that perpetual promise of protection. And it gets crazier from there on out.
Yeah. I mean, there's a magical cat and a raven with a little top hat.
I love that cat.
The cat is, I want a stuffy of the cat. I hear there's a Lego set coming of the K-pop cat, which will absolutely be purchased. I might even send one to you to put on your little shelf back there.
Thank you. I'd take it.
I love that. That's a great capturing of a female girl band defeats evil in society over the centuries. And they literally show the montage at the beginning of different generations of pop bands. You get a Spice Girls-esque band. You get a 70s bebop. Is it 70s bebop? I don't know what it is.
Doo-wop.
Doo-wop. They're in 70s hippie outfits.
They're doing
you go all the way back to Flapper Girls, right? There's always some iteration of this.
Yep.
And Huntrix, kind of at the heart of it, are these three girls who there's a point in the movie where they all talk about their insecurities. One of them's I'm too blunt, and one of them's I'm just too much, and the other one, we know what the main character Rumi's she's fighting an internal demon in some sort, or she is half demon, which is weird when you hear kids describe it. Oh yeah, she's half demon, but she's good. But they all seem to have, at the root of it, it seems to be your own personal insecurities and shame. There's a huge theme of shame. At one point, the bad guy says we can exploit her shame, and that will divide her from her community, and therefore they won't be able to defeat us anymore. There's a lot of layers here that I think Christians can actually connect to. What stood out to you in terms of oh yeah, that's a good message for kids or for adults or even other Dominicans passing by the TV room?
So I think that the movie is mostly about vibes.
Yeah.
It's just it's about aura forming, in the sense that you advance the cause of good by spreading good vibes amongst your fans, which creates this protective seal over the underworld and keeps the demons at bay. So I like the idea that a community ought to be such that it creates a space in which people feel like they belong. Maybe not losing sight of the fact that they're each unique, but that they belong, and it gives them a kind of meaning or purpose. Now, whether that meaning or purpose should be wholly bound up with following a particular K-pop band, doctors dispute. But nevertheless, I think that that's true to form insofar as I do think that it captures the way that we as human beings are built for community and that we really flourish in the setting of community, and that the real pitfalls or the real temptations which can undermine our pursuit of love and happiness is when we draw apart from that community, when we focus inwardly and specifically look to, like you said, our insecurities or to our shame, because the real problem is isolation or alienation. And so the bad guys in the movie, they come to kind of mess with the vibes, to disturb the vibes, and then get these other folks looking at themselves and, as a result of which, looking past what's actually good in life. And I thought that you don't often find these types of stories told with such a stress on community, which I thought was cool.
Did you know that they literally say some things in Latin in this movie?
I did not know that. Yeah,
the Pray For Me, Your Idol lyrics begin with the Dies Irae Elah. Like they're like chanting it in the background.
Get out.
And then like go into this like keeping you in check, keeping you obsessed, play me on repeat in your head. And it's like, it is. They're messing with the vibes, but like, can we go so far as to say that like sin messes with the vibes? Like sin makes us stupid. Sin isolates us from other people. Sin prevents us from loving God and therefore loving others. But a sin that we choose, right? Like nobody's forcing us to sin, but we do pray like actively to like be protected from evil and to not fall into temptation. I nothing in this like contradicted our Christian theology, I would argue.
I mean, there's like, if you had like a real, well, actually type person, do an extended exegesis of their use of Christian terms like, you know, demon and others besides.
Yeah, and sin. Yeah.
Whatever. It's like kind of, you know, things are weird. But I don't think that it's meant to.
Yeah, I don't think it's trying to change anybody's theology.
Yeah.
And then like, I mean, I was talking to somebody who was like, yeah, Korea is like super Christian now. I was like, is it? And they were like, well, I mean, World Youth Day is happening there. There you go. They're proof positive. I did appreciate in that movie, so like the climax of the film, if you don't want it to be ruined, although it's been on Netflix for 6 months, so like you're behind the times if you haven't watched it yet, I guess. Although I just watched it like in the past week and a half, and you just the other night. The climax of the movie after like the two bands, so the demons, we should maybe back up a bit and do like due diligence.
Tell more of the story.
The girl band is protecting the world. There starts to be some fracturing in their group and of their own community forming and of even their talent, because Rumi, who is half demon, we never get the full backstory of like her mother was part of a band that was like protecting the world and her father was a demon. I think that's probably the sequel that's already in production. Learning more of her origin story. Oh yeah.
No
My 8-year-old told me there was a sequel coming and I then confirmed it on Google and she was correct. I don't know how she knew that information, but she knew that information. But she's like internally fighting with herself. And they're clearly the demons are clearly trying to defeat Huntrix. And so a demon, or one of these like trapped souls, let's just call it what it is, poses to the evil Satan-esque character a demon boy band to draw the fans to them. And they have a pretty great earworm of a song, Soda Pop, which has been on repeat in my house for literal weeks. My 5-year-old knows the choreography.
Nice.
Did it in the movie theater the other day. So they come to Earth. Yes, there's like shoulder shaking and there's like hand motions with like drinking soda pop. It's great. They come to Earth and are like wooing the fans away. And so now there's like a battle between Huntrix and the Saja boys, who all have like a different there's like the one with really great abs and the one who like looks really young and is a good rapper. And it's very K-pop. It's very Korean. It's not American culture things at all, but like we're still entertained by it. And in the battle between these two bands for fans, there's a big climactic scene where there's like betrayal and there's demons who are like taking people away. And everybody's brought to this one stadium where the Saja boys come out looking very demonic, like looking very evil. And they sing this song, Your Idol. I'm just going to quote some of the words from the song.
We ready?
I'm the only one who'll love your sins. Feel the way my voice gets underneath your sin. Listen, because I'm preaching to the choir. Can I get the mic a little higher? Give me your desire. I can be the star you rely on. My 8-year-old, the first time I like happened to walk into the room and she's watching it, and I had not yet watched it from start to finish. My husband had. He said it was fine, so I trusted him. Rose like paused it and she said, Mom, this song is about sin. This song is about what happens when you don't go to confession. Like she had already made that connection. So let's talk about the music. Is there any song that really stands out to you besides me quoting Your Idol consistently? Is there one that like you're like, like that's interesting? Was it Takedown? Is it Soda Pop? Is it Golden, which is kind of like the anthem of Rumi?
Yeah. So I do think it was interesting, so the girls have this discussion which song they should sing at the end for their competition. And Takedown is a kind of violent song, whereas Golden is a transcendent song. And I thought that was cool because it helps us to kind of conceive of our own lives in the sense that if we define ourselves negatively, that is to say, like we're not those people or we're not these people, then we don't really know who we are. But if we define ourselves positively, then we can kind of rise above the fray, which I think is supposedly the point of Golden. And I don't know, I just found it fascinating that there are a lot of movies, especially in the last 25 years, which used liberation. I mean, there have been a lot of works of art in the last billion years that use liberation as a central theme. And I think about Frozen especially because Frozen has a lot to do with shame. It has a lot to do with the suppression or the repression of misunderstood gifts, which leads to a kind of destructive power, which is only ever resolved by love. And I think you see something very similar here, where it's like a kind of typical human instinct is, this thing's bad, so I need to fight it. And we use some of that language in Christian circles where it's like, this temptation or this sin or this vice is bad, so you need to fight it. But I just don't know how capable we are of that kind of fight. And that's the recognition that Rumi comes to kind of at the end of her struggle as she breaks down. She's like, yeah, then if it's just a fight, then I lose. But it's got to be something bigger than a fight, or it's got to be something beyond a fight. And we have to be able to propose something beautiful, like something transcendent for which we're striving, because then that'll animate my effort. That'll actually give me the wherewithal to pursue it wholeheartedly or full-throatedly in the case of the singers. And in the process of that transformation, the like different things kind of going on the surface will work themselves out. So it's like, if we just sit around in a circle and ask ourselves the question, like, who am I and what am I for? I don't know how far we're going to advance in our own moral growth. But if we together come to a recognition that there's something beyond us for which we're all made, that we ought to strive to discover and, dare I say, worship, then what we discover in the process is like, you go to any Catholic church, there are lots of different kind of people there. Those people would not congregate otherwise, except possibly at like a Chick-fil-A. But the fact that they're all there for the same God makes it possible for them to come together in real significant ways, like real substantive ways, which is beautiful. And we don't realize that that's really what we're longing for until such time as it's made possible and made real. So I love the fact, like Golden is this transcendent song. I mean, and the song that they sing at the end there in that climactic scene, which you described, is also a transcendent song of a certain sort. But it's coming to a recognition that, like, okay, I have this past, or I have this shame, or I have these struggles, but I have to be able to share them. And I think that, like, you hear that in 2025 and you think about people kind of being emotionally or psychologically too forthcoming, and you're like, maybe, no, but like, I have to share them with someone, and that'll give me the ability to share my life with others, which I think is just the goods. It's the bee's knees.
And this movie got us thinking about that.
It did.
I know there's a lot of Catholic parents out there who have kind of resisted watching K-pop Demon Hunters. I had a conversation with some friends after Mass just yesterday, and I was like, we let our girls watch it. I finally watched it. I'm having a conversation with a Dominican friar about it tomorrow. And they were like, so it's like, okay, it's not like scary. And I was like, I mean, it's got like, like the demons' faces are a little creepy and like, but my 5-year-old was fine. So I think it just depends on your like level of caring about those kinds of images being shown to your kids. But like nothing in the movie screamed to me, heresy, avoid, turn off, don't watch. Like, in fact, it actually led to some really great conversations with my daughter. Let's talk a little bit about the shame piece of the story, which is, and again, we have to kind of like suspend the reality of like communing with this demon guy from 400 years ago, who then sacrifices himself for Rumi and like literally stretches his arms out. Did you ever, okay, we're both millennials who grew up in like Franciscan-esque world. Did you ever see that Lifehouse skit that was done at like every retreat? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I've forgotten.
Okay, there's this like, this is a deep cut to those who grew up in youth ministry world. There's this skit where like a girl like goes to this party and all, she's like doing all these bad things, and they keep putting these signs around her neck that like have the sin, and she's like weighed down by her sin, and they're like all like yelling at her and screaming at her, and she's like on the ground like caved in and like all these external things. And then Jesus comes up, the guy who's playing Jesus, usually in an altar server alb that was pulled from the back sacristy, comes out and like stretches his arms out and holds back all the things that are like plaguing her. I guarantee every millennial woman of a certain age thought about the Lifehouse skit when they saw the demon guy making this moment of incredible sacrifice. And so much of their conversation is wrapped up around the voices in your head and what you're told. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You made this huge mistake and that's all you ever are. I kept thinking, oh, that's what the devil tries to do to us. He tries to keep us locked in. I sinned. I'm therefore unforgivable. The Lord could never love me again. And I have to hide. The same way Adam and Eve had to hide. Like, he doesn't want me. He doesn't want me anymore. Can you talk a little bit about why maybe that would resonate with people because of that battle that we have with shame and staying stuck in our sins?
Yeah. I think, So I already made mention of the fact that in the 21st century, at least in American culture, we tend to overshare, but oftentimes our oversharing is a way of undersharing. Because if you can like share everything, then nothing's shameful. But we all suspect at some level that there still are shameful things, and I'm going to find a way to not share those ones. So I think that, part part of the message, I suppose, of the movie is that your weaknesses or your wounds really only have power over you to the extent that you believe the lies or the falsities said about those things, that you like make them your own. So it's like, all right, this gal Rumi is part demon. Apparently her, hunter mom, non-demon, fell in love with a demon. And you can see once you meet the demon, who is the male lead in the movie, you can see how a hunky dude like that might attract you. So like by virtue of her mixed blood, her adulterated blood, she just suspects herself of a kind of unforgivable sin, or that she's like rotten to the core.
Mm-hmm.
But okay, like that's the fact of your past. The question is, what do you do with the fact of your past? And her choice is to interiorize the shame which she felt from her primary caregiver, and then to isolate herself or alienate herself from her closest friends, even though if given the opportunity and the right circumstances, they would love her. They might need some help understanding her and embracing her, but they would love her. And we see that by the end of the movie. She just can't venture that because it's too risky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like we feel something similar. Like anytime we're posed by like a big life change, we feel that. Like I've got this job offer in this new city, but everyone that I know is here. And even though I feel the limitations of this setting and maybe the poverty of some of these relationships, I just can't envision my life in this new place. I can't envision my friendships in this new place. And so I'll take the thing that I have at present rather than risk it all for a thing which seems like it could be great, but truth be told, it couldn't possibly be that great because God doesn't love me that much, And so I think that, like in other circumstances, you think about, I live in a seminary setting. You think about a man in formation, like whatsoever struggles he has, and he might think to himself, I'm the only person that struggles with this. And it's an environment of scrutiny. If I tell like the wrong persons, I might have myself shown to the door. If I tell the guys with whom I'm currently friends, I might not have any friends by the end of the day. And so I've just kind of worked this out. But it's the type of thing that really only gets worked out together. Mm-hmm. With the Lord and the setting of the sacrament of confession, with the spiritual director and the setting of counsel, but like with the Christian community. And you might not tell everybody every sin or every vice because that might be indiscreet or that might be inappropriate. And you don't necessarily want to burden these people with those things because some of them aren't in a place to really carry that burden. But there have to be places in the Christian community where you can share and know that you're loved, because otherwise, then we just say, it's all on me. And at the end of the day, because of the sin, because of this vice, we hate ourselves. And so it's just like, ooh, it's impossible for the one. And it's just exceedingly, exceedingly sad and ugly for another because, for reasons described. So, yeah. So I think it's like the point of a liberation narrative isn't to say, take me as I am. The point of a liberation narrative is to say, like, if we're going to grow, if we're going to heal, we're going to do so together. And I entrust myself to you, and I ask you to be tender. I ask you to be gentle. But also, like, I want to grow. I do want to heal. And so the point is that together we can entrust this life to the Lord so that he can make of it what he wills. Yeah. I don't know. What do you think?
That's the heart of the movie. Who would have thought that a movie about K-pop girl bands protecting the world from demons is actually this beautiful narrative about how we confront sinfulness and how we can confront the shame that we carry. I kept going back to this. There's this one scene where Rumi never wants to go, obviously, because she's got they have like lines revealing their demonic nature. Again, taking that word for what it is inside the film. And so she never wants to go to the bathhouse. Like she never wants to go and do the thing that her two other friends really enjoy doing, going to the sauna, essentially. It was a bit strange when my daughter was like, Mom, what's a bathhouse? I was like, what are you watching? And did not realize that that's like a very Korean thing. So I was grateful for the exposure to different cultures. But she never wants to go. And her friends just kind of chalk it up as, Rumi's too modest. Like she doesn't want to go to the bathhouse because she doesn't want to wear a bathing suit. And obviously like, she's hiding. Like she's physically hiding that which she knows they would be appalled by. And like there is a climactic point in the movie when her friends are appalled by it. But it's not just because of what she is or what she necessarily has done. It's because she's lied. It's because she's hidden it. It's because they feel like they can't trust her and that everything in their relationship has been a falsehood. And I was really moved by that. Like she built up in her head so much, this part of me is unlovable, that it just led to worse secrets and led to more of a fracturing of the good vibes and allowed these demons to come in and kind of exploit that and allows the culture to then therefore be pulled into this moment of like literally their souls being taken Dementor style and then they're able to like defend it, but only together. I mean, I can't get over the fact that the final climactic image is like this is going to sound like a crazy connection, but like the three of them, they were in black the whole time, and they're like in their like bad girl vibes outfits, like fighting the demons. And then in the moment of victory, what are they wearing? White. What are they doing? Hovering above the crowd, kind of in like this transfigured moment of like, it is good that we are here and celebrating this. I mean, again, I'm making some stretches, but I thought it was fantastic. I love the movie. It's a comfort movie now. I have it like permanently downloaded on my iPad, and I am not ashamed to watch it on an airplane anymore.
Party on.
Final thoughts on K-pop Demon Hunters. Should other Dominican friars perhaps go watch this film themselves?
I mean, I've already incurred their ridicule by admitting to it in public. Need I incur their ridicule further by encouraging them? I'm real light on recommendations because I save my recommendations for the Gospel of John. If that makes sense.
That's it. And your new book. That is also a good recommendation. We got to get that one in there.
Nice work. Yeah, but I just think that like, I don't know. I just found it to be really charming. I thought it was thoughtful. And it was thought provoking. And I don't know, there's something about it that's just winsome. And I don't know, like a lot of contemporary art lacks that quality, like just a certain sweetness to the characters with whom you fall in love. And like, did you kind of bring with you when you go forth from said TV room or movie theater or wherever you are? And I don't know, I think that's great. I think that's just super delightful. So I don't want to make of it more than it is.
Yeah, it's there's nothing harmful. Like it's a good movie. Like you should enjoy it for what it is.
Exactly.
Which is not going to corrupt your children. Maybe if they're scared of like demon faces, don't let them watch it. But like it's not going to permanently wreck your Catholic upbringing of your children. I would go so far as to say maybe even some ways it'll help with some really good conversations. Father Pine, where can people follow you and your incredible podcast?
At Godsplaining. So Godsplaining is the name of the podcast, GODSPLAINING. And then all of the social media handles are just at Godsplaining, I think. I don't actually know that I've checked that recently.
It is. They are. Okay. We'll tag you.
Perfect.
There we go. Father Pine, thanks so much.
My joy. Thanks for having me.